The greatness and fall of Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby. This man has become a symbol of American culture. For decades, he was considered the embodiment of the American dream. But what was the price of his success? How was it possible to hide his sins so cleverly, while remaining in the spotlight as an example of virtue and nobility? Today we will dive into one of the most scandalous stories of our time. Bill Cosby's story is not just a tale of one star's downfall. It's a mirror that society is forced to look into when faced with the dark secrets that can hide behind the outward glitz and glory. We'll discuss all the key moments of this case, from his rise to Olympus, to the tragic events that destroyed his reputation. Cosby's release has stirred up a storm of emotion and discussion. How did it happen that a man found guilty of such terrible crimes was once again at large? Was it justice or a mistake? And most importantly, what does this decision say about our society? Let's begin this difficult conversation. If you are interested in this story, put a like and share this video with your friends. This is an important topic that deserves attention. Chapter 1: Ascent to Olympus. Let's go back in time. Let's remember who Bill Cosby was in the eyes of millions of people around the world. The mid-80s was the golden age of The Cosby Show, a television series that not only entertained but also taught generations of Americans how to live. His character, Dr. Cliff Huxtable, was the epitome of the perfect father, role model, and inspiration. In every episode, he taught viewers valuable lessons about life, love, family, and friendship. But life on screen is one thing, but real life behind the scenes is quite another. As we later learned, there was a darker reality behind that facade. How was it that a man so beloved and respected could hide his crimes for decades? Cosby wasn't just a successful comedian, he was the first African American to break stereotypes and barriers in the entertainment industry. His show became a true phenomenon, making him one of the richest and most influential people in Hollywood. But was this greatness of his used for good, or did it give him the opportunity to commit his crimes with impunity? Since his debut, Cosby became increasingly popular. He won numerous awards, he was invited to the most important events, his word meant a lot in show business. The man was almost untouchable. But how many other stories like this hides Hollywood? Who else, like Cosby, is hiding his dark side? Chapter 2: The Beginning of the End. It all started with one accusation. In 2005, Andrea Constand, a former Temple University employee, accused Cosby of sexual assault. At first glance, it seemed like it was just one of the many attempts to make money off of a celebrity. But it soon became clear that this was just the beginning. Why was this the exact moment the allegations began to surface? Did Cosby have enemies who were waiting for the moment to strike? Or was it one woman's conscience that couldn't keep quiet any longer? Whatever the case, others soon followed. A wave of accusations swept across the country, and each new witness added more darkness to the story of this once adored man. But how did the victims manage to remain silent for so long? Why didn't they speak up sooner? Was it fear, shame, or was it Cosby's influence and power that kept them silent? Gradually, a picture began to emerge. More than 60 women came forward with accusations against Bill Cosby, describing the same scenarios: they were drugged and raped. This begs the question, how has Cosby been able to maintain such a sterling reputation for decades? There's another important question here: how safe is it to be around powerful people at all? How many more such secrets does Hollywood keep? Write in the comments why you think it took so long for anyone to bring him to justice. Your thoughts are important, and they will help us better understand this complex and confusing case. Chapter 3: The Trial and Verdict. The trial against Cosby was a real drama. Television cameras, hundreds of reporters, and millions of eyes glued to the screens. This trial was not just a trial against one man, it was a public exposure of his entire career and reputation. However, despite the overwhelming amount of testimony and evidence, the trial was not easy. In 2017, after the first trial, the jury could not reach a consensus. This was a real shock to many who believed that the charges against Cosby were ironclad. However, a retrial was held in 2018, and this time the jury found him guilty. It was a historic moment. It was the first time a celebrity of this magnitude had been convicted of crimes of this nature in the #MeToo era. But why was this trial so difficult? What prevented the jury from reaching a decision the first time around? Is it possible that Cosby's influence and wealth still played a role even when all the cards were laid on the table? When Bill Cosby was handed a sentence of 3 to 10 years in prison, it was seen as a triumph of justice. But that verdict was followed by new questions. Was the trial truly fair, or was it just meeting a public demand for punishment? I wonder what you think. Was Cosby punished deservedly, or was he the victim of a show trial? Share your opinion in the comments. We appreciate each and every one of your responses. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next investigations and discussions. Your opinion is important to us. Chapter 4: An Unexpected Release. So, years had passed since the verdict, and it seemed that justice had been served. But in 2021, something happens that turns the story upside down once again. The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania overturns the verdict and releases Cosby from prison. The decision came as a real shock to everyone who had been following the case. The court ruled that the agreement with the previous prosecutor that Cosby should not have been prosecuted was broken, and therefore his rights were violated. Cosby went free, and it was the subject of massive discussion and violent protests. How is it that a man who was found guilty of such serious crimes was once again free? This decision caused an incredible resonance. Many people began to wonder, was it really the right decision? Could the legal system be so flawed as to allow something like this to happen? Was this decision justice or a perversion of it? The U.S. judicial system, which is considered one of the fairest and most objective in the world, has come under scrutiny. How is it possible that the rights of the accused could be more important than the rights of the victims? While many saw the decision as a mere legal technicality, for others it became a symbol that the rich and powerful could get away with exploiting loopholes in the law. What exactly do you think was the reason for his release, the legal system or Cosby's influence and money? Your point of view is important to us. Write your thoughts in the comments. Chapter 5: Public and Victim Reaction. After Bill Cosby was released, the reaction was immediate and furious. The victims, who were beginning to get used to the idea that justice had been served, felt betrayed. Many women who spoke out against Cosby said that this release made them relive their horrors. But it wasn't just the victims who were shocked. The public, activists, and lawyers around the world began to discuss how it was that a man convicted of such serious crimes was free again. It became a symbol that rich and powerful people can escape accountability for their actions. Some of Cosby's defenders, on the other hand, argued that this was a victory for justice and human rights. They saw his release as proof that the system works, even if it protects the rights of those whom society deems guilty. But what about the feelings of the victims? How can we justify a system that allows someone accused of serial crimes to be free again? This begs the question, what is more important in a judicial system, the rights of the accused or the rights of the victims? Can there be justice when one man goes free and dozens of women are left feeling betrayed? Can justice ever restore these people's trust? Or are we witnessing the ultimate collapse of faith in justice? These are important questions that need to be debated. Share your opinions in the comments, for only together can we come to an understanding. Chapter 6: After Liberation. After his release, Bill Cosby faced a new reality. His name became synonymous with scandal, and many of his friends and colleagues turned their backs on him. He lost almost all of his connections, his shows were canceled, and his reputation was ruined. However, despite this, Cosby is not hiding. On the contrary, he makes public statements, asserting his innocence and his intention to continue fighting. But what is driving him now? Is it a sincere conviction or just an attempt to save face in front of the world? Perhaps he hopes to be rehabilitated, his career and reputation restored. But is that possible in an environment where public opinion has already passed its judgment? Some experts believe that Cosby simply cannot accept the loss of his status and is trying to stay afloat by any means necessary. But even if he truly believes he is innocent, can his word mean anything in a world where he has already been convicted of his crimes? Bill Cosby is not the first and probably won't be the last person to try to exonerate himself after such a high-profile scandal. But will he be able to restore his reputation, or will his name forever remain tarnished? Don't forget to give us a like if you're interested in stories like this. This will help us understand what topics you like the most, and we will create more content like this. Chapter 7: The Cosby Legacy. What will Bill Cosby's legacy be after all these events? His shows that once inspired millions are now overshadowed by his crimes. Many TV stations have refused to air his shows, and his name has been erased from most cultural events and projects. However, there is no denying the fact that Bill Cosby had a significant impact on the development of television and comedy. He was a pioneer who broke down many barriers and helped open doors for other African American entertainers. But can that influence ever outweigh his crimes? Bill Cosby's story raises an important question: can the man and his accomplishments be separated? Is it possible to enjoy his work while knowing what he accomplished? Many are still debating this topic, and those debates will probably continue for a long time to come. But what are your thoughts on the subject? Can his cultural legacy ever be separated from his crimes? Write your thoughts in the comments. This is an important discussion, and we want to hear what you think. Chapter 8: The Moral of the Story. Bill Cosby's story is not just a tale of one star's rise and fall. It is a lesson for all of us. It shows how easy it is to be fooled by external glitz and how difficult it is to get justice when a powerful person stands against you. This story also raises the question of the role of the public in such cases. Should we trust celebrities just because they seem good on screen? And how should we respond to situations like this when the truth comes out? Bill Cosby is not the first and, unfortunately, not the last example of how fame and power can be used for harm. And each of us must be careful and conscious in our judgments. After all, justice is not just a judgment and a sentence, it is our common pursuit of truth and the defense of those who cannot defend themselves. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new videos and discussions. Your support is important to us, and together we can achieve more.